Good morning, Year 5. I hope you are all well. We're going to continue our work this week on this picture. Just like we did in class, I just want you to have a quick think about what you learned yesterday. So thinking about the fantastics you used, have a look at your notes from yesterday and just think, what new words did you learn? You learned the word trepidation, oppressive. What sentences did you write? So we had a look at the fantastics. We thought about what we could smell if we were in there. What could we feel if we were in there? What do we notice? And I want you to think closely about what kind of words did you use. So we looked, I think I used the word dirty green water. Now the word dirty is a very negative word, isn't it? It's not a positive word. So we're going to look closely at that this today. So let's have a quick think. So, for today's activity, you can either print the document that is attached, or it's absolutely fine, you can just label the sentences 1 to 5 and then match them to the fantastics. Either or is absolutely fine. So what we'd like you to do is we'd like you to have a look at the fantastics on the left hand side. Think about why, first of all, why we use the fantastics, because the writers use them because they're a great way to really get an image into the reader's head. Now, obviously, all writers don't call them the fantastics, but we as a school call them the fantastics because they're a great way for you guys to know what each sentence might be. So a sentence might be an action sentence. It might be, what can you hear? What sounds can you hear? How is the characters feeling? What can they see? Or what can they smell? Now I've written some of these sentences myself. I've included some of these sentences on the right hand side. I want you to see if you can match each sentence to the fantastic. Now each sentence, each writing has got two sentences together, okay? I want you to try and match them to the fantastic. So let's have a look what we've got so far. I've got a blood-curdling howl ripped through the air. The silence was broken by the sweet melody of the birds tweeting. He pounded on the table with his fist and glared at her furiously. She let out a squeal of delight and hopped up and down on the spot. It gave off a pungent odour of decay and rotting flesh. Wafting in the air was a sweet smell of roasting vegetables. The ceiling of thick branches shut out the sky and covered the path in darkness. Butterflies floated in the sky without a care in the world. The creature walked slowly, clumsily dragging its clawed foot over the ground. Skipping happily, he remembered last summer and all the amazing memories that came with it. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to match these pairs of sentences to each of the fantastics, okay? Now to help you, really think about what words have I used? Is it a sound? Are you imagining a sound when you're reading that sentence? Have I given you an image to think about what it looks like? Well, therefore, then it'll match to the looking fantastic. Have a go, and then you can look on the next slide and reveal the answers. So have a look at the sentences. Were you correct? Okay, let's have a look at them first of all. So the first one, we've got an action. So on the left hand side, the fantastic, the green symbol shows an action. Let's have a look. I've matched that to the one at the bottom, number 5. The creature walked slowly, clumsily dragging its clawed foot over the ground. So the walked slowly is an action, isn't it? I've got skipping happily. He remembered last summer and all the amazing memories that came with it. So the skipping is an action. I'm imagining whatever character, they're in a happy place, they're skipping. The next symbol, I've got the hearing, the sound, and I've matched that to the first, number 1 sentences. Let's have a look. A blood-curdling howl ripped through the air. So that word howl, okay, shows you that what I'm listening to a sound ripped through the air. I'm imagining a really loud scream. Next sentence says, the silence was broken by the sweet melody of the birds tweeting. Well, birds tweeting is a sound, isn't it? And actually sometimes when you wake up you can hear, if your windows are open, you can hear them. The next symbol, I've got a feeling sentence, and I've matched that to the second sentences. That's the red. So I've got, he pounded on the table with his fists and glared at her furiously. Oh, so this character's not very happy. He's glaring at her furiously. He's not very happy. He's angry. In fact, he's more than angry. He's furious. And I've got, she let out a squeal of delight and hopped up and down on the spot. Oh, well, here I've tried to create the image of the character being really happy. I'm guessing sometimes my little cousin, apparently at Christmas, when she got her favourite Christmas present, that's what she did. So she's a very happy as this character. Then the 4th sentence, it's what you can notice. I've matched that to the 4th sentences. The ceiling of thick branches shut out the sky and covered the path in darkness. Ah, so I'm imagining it's like a forest, it's like a jungle maybe. The branches are really thick, and actually when you look through a forest sometimes you can't see all the way down. And then I've got butterflies floating in the sky without a care in the world. So imagine in a happy place with butterflies. Sometimes there's a park near me, and I remember in summer I used to go and there used to be butterflies in there, and you can see them all around the sky. Beautiful. And the very last one is the sound. It gave off a pungent odour of decay and rotting flesh. And oh, it's making my eyes go, oh, okay, not a very nice imagination of the smell. And then I've got wafting in the air was a sweet smell of roasting vegetables. And imagining my mum's Sunday roast. Next time I can see my mum to do the Sunday roast. Okay, so it's all these things that you can see how writers, okay, have tried to make the sentences and really get you a visualization in your head. Okay, see if you were correct, and if not, see if you agree with what I've just said. Now, for this activity, keeping with the same sentences, I want you to think within each pair, okay, of the sentences, and I've kept the colours on there just so you can remember which one they match of the fantastics. I want you to think about what impression each sentence gives you. Now I've done 2 for each pair, okay, because one is giving me a positive impression and one's giving me a negative impression. Now the reason we're wanting you to think about this really closely is because as a writer, so when you're in school, it's really important to think about the words, the vocabulary that you use, what impact it has on the reader, okay? If you're using words like the pungent odour of decay and rotting flesh, well, I'm imagining not a very nice place. I'm imagining bins, a disgusting place. I'm not imagining a nice, happy place out in the garden, out in the park with my friends, okay? So every word choice that you use and the writers and authors that they use is for a reason, okay? And that's really what we're trying to get when we're in class, okay? To think about each word, what does that help the reader visualise, all right? So for each pair, what I want you to do is I want you to sort them out into a negative impression or a positive impression. Okay, let's do the first one together, okay, and then let you have a go on your own. So blood-curdling howl ripped through the air. Ah, right. Well, I'd probably put that sentence in the negative section. And the reason I'm thinking I'm going to put it in the negative sentence, because the word blood-curdling, oh, well, that's not a very, I'm thinking, I used to watch things like vampires and things, blood-curdling. That means like you must be very scared, it mustn't be a very nice sound. And a howl, well, a howl's not a very positive word, is it? A howl, I'm thinking a very loud, shrieking voice that your head hurts with it. So I'm going to put that in the negative section by just looking at those words there. And the one underneath, let me see if I agree that's the positive sentence then. The silence was broken by the sweet melody of the birds tweeting. Well, already that word sweet melody, I'm putting into the positive side, because a sweet melody, that's a really interesting word, isn't it? Okay, the birds tweeting, that brings me back to my happy place, thinking about what thinking about when I used to go to the park. So I'm going to put that into the positive side, okay? So for each of these sections going down, just move them into each of the sections, okay? And the next slide, have a look if you agree, okay? See if you've got the same answers as me. So, were you correct? Have you have a look? Would you agree? Is there anything you don't agree with? It's absolutely fine not to agree with me. However, let's just have a quick look and see which ways I've parted them. So for the negative section, we've already talked about the blood-curdling howl ripped through the air. He pounded on the table with his fist and glared at her furiously. So pounded and furiously have made me think it's not a very positive experience. It's not positive vocabulary that we've got. I'm imagining a character that is angry, like I said before, in fact worse than angry, furious. Okay? I've got, it gave off a pungent odour of decay and rotting flesh. Well, that's not a smell you want to hear, is it? Oh, get me here, I mean smell, okay? You don't want to smell the rotting flesh and the decay. So again, it's not a nice experience. It's a negative experience. The writer's wanting you to think of, oh, I can imagine that not smelling very nice. Then we've got the ceiling of thick branches shut out the sky and covered the path in darkness. Oh, I'm a little bit scared from that sentence. Covered the path in darkness. Oh, I've been in forest before. It's got a little bit late. It was recently actually where it was about 4 o'clock and it was getting dark. And I was walking my dog and I'm thinking, oh, it's getting a bit too dark for me, is this now? I'm thinking a little bit, oh, I need to get out into the open so I can see the street lights. Okay. And the last one, I've got the creature walked slowly, clumsily dragging its clawed foot over the ground. I'm thinking, is this character a little bit hurt? Okay, dragging its clawed foot over the ground. Right, positive. I've then got the silence broken by the sweet melody of the birds tweeting. So we discussed about the sweet melody and the birds tweeting. Imagine putting me in my happy place. I've got, she let out a squeal of delight and hopped up and down on the spot. Like I said, I remember my uncle telling me about my cousin getting a present and she was so happy that she just jumped up and down and she was giving a massive smile on her face and she was really excited. I've got wafted in the air with a sweet smell of the roasting vegetables. And that makes me excited, thinking when I can next see my mum and thinking when she's going to do a Sunday dinner and the really lovely smell that comes with it. And that brings me back to my happy place again. And then we've got butterflies floating in the sky without a care in the world. Again, it reminds me of summer. It reminds me of all the butterflies going through the park and I remember used to sitting on the grass. And again, it takes me back to my happy place. It's a positive experience, isn't it? Then we've got skipping happily, he remembered last summer and all the amazing memories that came with it. Well, already that word happily is a positive experience, isn't it? And skipping as well. You don't see many people who are angry then skipping while they're shouting. So skipping happily, again, it makes you see, if you see children skipping happily on the playground and thinking, oh, those children are happy. Okay? So this is where all your work from today and yesterday is all going to come together, okay? We're not going to be writing a paragraph just yet. I'll be showing you that in tomorrow's lesson. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be thinking about putting all the fantastics, the work we've just looked at, and then making it relevant to the picture, okay? Relevant to the picture on the right. So I've done a few models myself. I've had a think about what I would write. Just like would in class, I would be modelling to you how I think I would be writing, and then you'd be having a go yourself. So let's have a little look at what I would be writing. So again, we thought of the 4 fantastics. This time I've just got the 4, not the 5, sorry. I've got the sound, the feeling, what I can see and what I can smell. Now I've stepped back into the picture. I had to take a few minutes to think, right, if I was in that picture, okay, what could I hear? What could I smell? What could I see? What can I see, sorry? What would I be feeling? So again, look at yesterday's work that you've done. This is where it's going to help you, but today we're going to put them into sentences. And you'll notice at the top of the slide, it's got a negative sign. So we're going to be thinking of trying to make sentences that give off a negative vibe, okay? A negative image for the reader. So I've stepped into the picture and I thought, right, what can I hear? So I looked back at yesterday's work and I thought, right, I can imagine, I'm thinking, I'm running through there, maybe I'm lost and I can hear screams. So a scream, first of all, that is a negative word, isn't it? Okay. Let's think. I've then put a piercing, spine-chilling scream ripped through the air and sent the birds crashing through the trees. So I've had to think about, well, how can I describe the word scream? A spine-chilling scream. I'm going to put a happy scream, because that doesn't give the negative vibe off that I'm wanting. Then I've thought about what I could feel, okay? I'm going to be thinking I'm nervous. I am extremely nervous going through here. I'm worried, okay? I'm scared. And I'm going to think about a time when I've been nervous before, okay? What happened in my body? How was I feeling? Okay, I remember it's as if every single nerve in your body, okay, is telling you, oh, don't do it, you're feeling sick, and I remember my belly feeling a bit funny. So I want to make that clear. So I've put this into a sentence. I'm going to put, every nerve in his body warned him not to go any further. He was sick with fear. Ooh, that shows you how scared and how much fear he has. Right, then I'm going to put about what I can see. Now, yesterday, I wrote a sentence saying green, dirty water. So I'm going to be thinking about what else I can see, okay? I'm going to be thinking, like I said, in the far left-hand corner, it's as if you can see a forest, isn't it? I'm imagining this is in the middle of a forest, okay, of a jungle, in fact. I'm going to put an eerie, greenish gloom filled the clearing. The thick, tangled maze was impossible to find its way through. So what I've wanted there, I've wanted to see that the greenish gloom filled the clearing. So you can see that from what I can see. I've described the green, dirty water, and I'm wanting then to describe how further I'm going. I'm going into the jungle. Well, the maze looks impossible to find its way through. It's confusing. And imagine if you're feeling scared and worried already, and then not being able to know where you're next going. How scared you must feel, okay? Then I'm wanting now to describe what I can smell. Okay, remember thinking of the negative words. So I'm not going to say a lovely odour, I'm going to say the stench, okay? The stench of rottenness and decay wafted up from the darkness and stung the nostrils of those who would dare walk through. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write your own negative sentences about this picture. All right? Think about, you can magpie some of my ideas, that's absolutely fine. Think about, if you can't think of a word, a negative word that describes a scream, have a look on a thesaurus. If you've got a computer, okay, think about synonyms that match spine chilling. Okay, is there anything that you would change of my sentences? So I want you to come up with 4 sentences and really think about how you can up-level them, okay? How you're going to get a negative experience across to the reader. Okay? In class, I would probably give you about 20 minutes to do this because you really need to think about it. You need to do a bit of research into the sentences, research into the words that you're using. And remember, we're just writing the 4 sentences. We don't need to put them into a paragraph just yet. That will be the work for tomorrow. Okay? So now that you've looked at my models, okay, and you've had a go at your own, and now I want you to think about, okay, this would be on a separate page usually in class, I want you to think about how you would change these words to a positive, okay, experience. Now I know we've already discussed that we think this picture isn't a positive experience, we think it's actually quite a scary place. However, I want you to think about how we would change it to a positive. What would writers do? And then this should really then help you just understand how words that writers use and words that you've used create that image for the reader. Because not all books and novels and narratives have pictures with them. So you create an image in your head when you are reading, and that's why it's really important as writers and authors, they choose the correct vocabulary to create that image, okay? So think about, for example, let's look at the hearing sentence. A piercing, spine-chilling scream. Well, already we've discussed that I'd change them sentences. A piercing, spine-chilling scream. That doesn't give a very positive idea back, does it, to the reader? So I'm possibly even going to say scream. I'm going to change that word, scream, there first of all. I might change it to a whisper, okay? And then a spine-chilling whisper. That still doesn't give a positive experience though. So I might say it to a sweet whisper, okay? A quiet whisper. And then I said a piercing, quiet whisper, a piercing, sweet whisper. So that doesn't quite make sense. It can't be piercing and sweet and a whisper at the same time, okay? So I might say a cheerful, sweet whisper. And already I'm thinking, that sounds a nice thing to listen to. So I want you to think about each sentence, which are the positive words, which are the negative words that we've looked at, and how would you change them? It might be that you have to change the full sentence, okay? It might be that you have to just change a few of the words. And then have a look. So then you should have at the end of this 4 sentences that are negative about this picture and 4 sentences that are positive. Okay, I'd be very excited to see what you come up with and see if you can do any better than I've done already. Okay, and I'm sure you can.